Thank you, everybody. It's great that everybody is here, and we're making history tonight. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we are. So tonight, I want to speak about three things: the past, the present, and the future, as it relates to virtual reality. So I was born in Brazil, and I grew up in São Paulo, the largest city in South America. And so I had the opportunity to be exposed to, I don't want to say the latest technology, but some really great things. They were not that far behind as opposed to living somewhere rural, right? And when I was 9 years old, I saw my first computer. And it was you coded in BASIC, and it had this monochrome screen, this bright green with the cursor that keeps blinking, and you could type commands and you could make the computer do things, and I knew that was the future. But this was pretty revolutionary at the time, especially in Brazil, which is not a culture of technology. So I became obsessed with working with computers in a place where that was a real difficult thing to even imagine. So shortly after, my mother, I have a brother and a sister, she was proud that she came home one day and she bought us a game console. And I had seen Pong. It was the only game that I had seen, and I thought it was really cool. And so my sister and my brother were not very interested in the gaming, but this was an Atari clone. It wasn't an Atari itself, it was a clone, right? And I started playing, and I just loved playing video games. And my dad at the time, he had a camp house, and he had like this stressful job as an executive, and so every weekend he wanted to go to the camp house, and there was no stimulation of any kind, right? And I didn't like that at all. And then he said, I see that you're playing a lot of games, and I want you to do something more productive with your time. At the same time, you're passionate about this, so, see what you can do. And so I started building custom PCs. I had an AT286 at the time, and for me, it was the coolest thing. We were running DOS at the time, but then something interesting happened that I think it didn't make my dad very proud. I remember that I discovered this game called Doom, and it was the coolest thing at the time. It was better than anything Atari had done, and I was just blown away. So I ended up playing a lot of games on the computer, and it was even worse than it was before. But I didn't want to let my dad down, so I also applied myself to learn something, and I did other things with applications, database and spreadsheet, before we even had a graphical user interface. And I mastered all DOS commands. We had Windows at the time. And I remember we'd go to the grocery store, and we had this really huge grocery store that people would come from far away, and there's a magazine section. And so I'd go there, and I would always pick up a computer magazine. And that was the only thing that interested me. And I would open the magazine and read everything that was in there. And I remember very vividly that there was a lot of articles about Microsoft. And there was an image of Microsoft. It had the sign, like one of the first signs that they had, and it had the campus behind it. And I thought that was amazing. I thought, this is the largest software company in the world. And here I am with people that don't even understand what it's like to work with a computer all day. So it was my dream to work for Microsoft, and I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. But I wanted it so bad, because software was my passion, and I knew it was the future. And at that point, I had been doing it as a hobbyist. So I decided to move to the United States. And I basically announced to my family that I was leaving. And my parents didn't take it well at first. But then they knew I was resolute and I was going to do it. And they came around. And they supported me and made it possible. And for me, picking a place was actually really easy, right? Because I had friends that had traveled through the US, and I would talk to them and they'd say, oh, California is great. Don't go to Seattle. It rains so much. It rains all the time. Why would you go there? But Microsoft was here, and this is where I wanted to be. So for me, it was really easy to make a decision. And so I came to Seattle in 1996. And long story short, I had an opportunity to work at Microsoft in 1998. And I entered the computer industry here in 1997 professionally. And so I lived my dream. And that was pretty great. Now, why am I telling you all this, right? I got to check my notes a little bit. Because this is kind of like the prelude for how Chronos VR came about. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I've already lived in the virtual world a lot. And it's a pretty great place. And I can see where it's going. And I want us to make it happen. And there's so much talent here in Seattle that this is really my home. And I'm really happy to live in Seattle. And I want to see Seattle become the epicenter of virtual reality. So how did Chronos VR come about? I'm not sure how to even say that other than I noticed that we had the Kickstarter campaign that Palmer Luckey was very successful with, and so I started watching it. And then I got a DK2, and I was just blown away that the technology has evolved so much through the mobile revolution. And what I can say about virtual reality, if you ask what is virtual reality, right? Virtual reality is a paradigm shift. Honestly, I didn't think this would happen in my lifetime again. I saw a lot of things happen. I saw the computer revolution. By the way, I did not become a millionaire or a billionaire through that. But there was the mobile revolution, and I couldn't see anything else until I saw that VR was really going to happen, and it is going to happen, and it is a paradigm shift. Now, this is very exciting, okay? It's very exciting because as a paradigm shift, nothing that we've done really applies to this new paradigm. For people who want to enter the industry, this is incredibly exciting. As a matter of fact, there are many things that people know that they've done in the past that will actually slow them down compared to people that have never done anything in the industry before. And so for me, this is very exciting. And virtual reality is very exciting to me. So we created Chronos VR, and I'm one of the co-founders. And Chronos is the Greek god of time. And one of the things I was going to say that I actually didn't mention is that I grew up with science fiction books. That was really a big part of my life. So I grew up dreaming about flying cars and the time machine, and really thinking about these things, teleportation. And we are here now in year 2015. And we don't have any of those things. And year 2015 is a pretty important year, actually. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but year 2015 is the year that Marty McFly comes back from the past. In October, actually. And I don't know what's going to happen by October, but I think if you were here today, he would be very disappointed. And he would say, what happened? You guys have been living in the dark ages. Where's my hoverboard? And so we have to change that, because I want to see this happen in my lifetime. This is what I always dreamed about. And it wasn't until recently that something clicked for me that we can have these things. We can have it. It is just not going to look like how I had imagined. It's not going to look like through the laws of physics that we have to do something that looks impossible. It can happen through virtual reality. The impossible becomes possible. And I'm convinced it's going to happen. So I'll speak more about the future of VR, but first I wanted to say that, this is how Chronos came about. And we want to build worlds that allow you to go backward in time or forward in time And to me, that's incredibly exciting because it is a time machine. It is just going to take a lot of people to build those worlds with fidelity and, you know, a real exciting place to be. But we have that talent here in Seattle, so I'm not discouraged. And we have a lot of brilliant people and a lot of rich people investing in this technology right now. So I'm confident that it's going to take off. And what does Chronos VR do, right? Well, we've been working on a few applications. One application is something that my partner Greg came up with. He calls it Aladdin's Magic Carpet. So he was over in Greece getting footage of these really cool historic places, because in reality, there are a lot of people that will never go see some places in the world that are really rich and exciting and, you know, that they dream about. So we believe that we can make this possible through virtual reality. And it'll be very realistic, and it'll be a lot more inexpensive, and you don't have to worry about getting on a plane. And I mean, recently we've had so many planes fall that I'm just really shocked. But there are just a lot of logistics that won't be involved with making that experience possible. And I can tell you that this is going to happen for that reason alone, but there's a lot of other reasons, right? We're also working on a cafe app, which is a dream of mine, and that is going to be a lot of work to create a virtual space where you can connect with people that are in other countries. But we believe we can make it happen. We've made a lot of progress on that already. So there's a lot of opportunity in virtual reality because as a disruptive technology that it is, it applies to anything. And I hope that tonight you got to see some of the demos and excuse me, you can start to get an idea not of where the technology is today, but what it's going to become. If you can think in terms of, you know, we didn't have an iPhone until 2007. And now look at what we have today in terms of mobile. When people work together and they put their minds to it, it's incredible how fast technology can evolve. And this is going to happen with VR. So Chronos is about not gaming, because a lot of people think of gaming when they think of virtual reality. Chronos is about real life applications, and as well as other things, right? So I wanted to just talk a little bit about real life application. One idea that I want to give you that I don't think we're going to work on at this point, although we are hiring and we are growing our team and we're looking for partners and we're looking for people that have ideas of their own, and we're looking for investors as well. So please come to us, right? We would love to talk with you. But one idea that I have that, you know, I love to see happen is a virtual store. So right now, most people travel, you know, drive to the mall, and then they go try on clothes that are already there. And with virtual reality, you can enter a store by putting on a headset. You can do this from your home. And when you're there in this virtual store that somebody created, you can try on different outfits. And you can have a mirror where you can actually see a reflection of your digital self, which we also call avatar, right? Now, when you build your avatar, which is going to be an industry in itself, I recommend that you do it in a way that resembles your real self, right? Because otherwise, you're going to be ordering clothes that won't fit you in real life. But what it will look like is you can just very easily go through a number of different outfits and pick what you like and choose different shoes. And you don't have to deal with going into a dressing room and trying that on. And you know, it can take a lot of time. It's not efficient. There's a number of reasons why this technology has so many benefits in that area. And then you just tap another. Speaking of avatars, we have somebody very special tonight from FaceShift, Doug, and he's going to be showcasing their amazing technology that shows what's possible in terms of facial expressions that you can do in real life that can be captured through his technology and then shown through the avatar. And I know this this technology is going to take off because so much more is possible. Right now, you look however you look, but when you build an avatar, you can look a number of different ways. I don't know how many people have been to Burning Man, but I gotta just say a little bit about Burning Man because I've been there and we do that a lot, okay? And people love it and it's amazing. And so we're not talking Burning Man, but I can connect that to the virtual world, that this is really gonna appeal to people to have control of how they look, because how we look really doesn't matter. What matters is who we are on the inside. And so it is a very disruptive technology, and I'm really excited that FaceShift is here tonight. And when you are ordering your outfit, right, going back to that example, somebody's going to build that store. It would be cool if we did that in Seattle first, before anyone else. We have Nordstrom here, right? We have a number of partners that would love to participate in this. So then you just simply tap a button, and then you order that outfit or pair of shoes, and they have your size, and then you get it in your home. And virtual currencies are really superior in terms of how they work compared to what we have today in the physical world. And we have somebody tonight that's going to be speaking about that. And one of the things that's really cool is micropayments, and I hope that he will talk more about that. We have Roy with us tonight, and he's really an expert on virtual currencies. So that's a little bit about the present and what we're working on. And you know, we're working on real life apps, and we're interested in helping people and creating applications that have real value, not just nothing against gaming, right? I was a gamer myself, but that it really enrich people's lives. I can see for myself that VR has the potential to at least reduce wars and help with the challenges that we have with natural resources and things like that. And it happens with the little things that we do. Little things that we do. Now, how much time do I have?
12 minutes.
Okay. So we have Victor tonight that's going to speak a little bit more about the future of virtual reality. But basically, as I mentioned before, the bad news is that you know, we've been living in the dark ages, and we haven't had the really cool stuff that we can have. And that's really my biggest dream. Building apps is cool, and you know, enriching people's lives through virtual reality with an app is cool, but I have a much bigger vision that's really what's driving me and a lot of people in the industry. I know that, including people in this room. So Victor is going to talk about input devices and haptic technology. There's a lot of great technology that was developed in this area right here that got buried. And we're going to have to dig it up. And we're going to have to develop new technology to make possible what we want to create. And what we want to create is the oasis. We want to create the metaverse. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you know, there's very few descriptions of what a virtual world will look like or what it can look like. But the Oasis is in Ready Player One, and we're giving a few prizes tonight. So we have a few books for you that you can see a better description of the virtual world and what it can look like. And that's just incredibly exciting because of what becomes possible. And Neil Stephenson did a pretty great job with a different take on the metaverse, but basically we're speaking the same language and we're talking the same thing. And it's going to require technology that we don't have yet. It's year 2015, and most of us use the keyboard and the mouse for input. And this is not how it should have been. And we need to change that. And for that to happen, it's not going to be Chronos building a few apps. It's going to be the community coming together as a whole and making that happen by bringing our gifts and our unique skills and really contributing with everything that we have. And that's going to take something. You know, we've been stuck living in an old model, and this old model doesn't work. And it's a model where people come and they do a job and they're afraid that they might lose their job. And then they give a piece of themselves and a portion of their life for a few years, and then they walk away feeling like they didn't get rewarded properly. Meanwhile, we have CEOs making insane amounts of money, and I'm not exactly against that, but I think we should try a different model, because we need a model that works for everybody. And I think that this is the time. And the Oasis has, for it to work, for it to be all that we dream of it being, in case you haven't really understood what I mean by the Oasis, think of the Matrix, okay? It is as realistic as anything. It is so realistic that you can't distinguish it from unreality. You can distinguish it from what's not real. You really believe it's real. And it will happen. I am confident it will happen. I just want it to happen with Seattle being a major force, because this is the perfect place. This is a place, by the way, where indoor activities are great, right? So we have so much talent here. It's almost like we're wasting it. We have people that we bump into on the street that they're just incredible what they have to offer in terms of their expertise. And it's not just software development, it's biotechnology and other industries that we have right here in our backyard. And all we got to do is really come together, and I want us to really work individually, which we can. There's a lot of indie developers in this area. We don't need to build the next empire. I don't think that's a model that will work. But we need to make sure that the Oasis will be open source and free. Because once that gets built, everyone is going to want to be in it. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be incredible. It's a place where the impossible becomes possible. And it is a shared experience. I'm not talking about gaming. It is a place where you can go with your friends. I really believe that people will sit down in their living room with their friends, and why watch a movie? That is so boring in comparison and passive. Nothing against movies. I love movies. And movies will still exist. A lot of what we have still will exist. But virtual reality is going to be a new thing. And it'll be a shared experience. We can go flying in the coolest places and then just kind of walk away and be in the real world celebrating how cool that was, And that's just really incredible to me, because there are things that I really want to do that are not going to happen otherwise. Such as connecting with people in other countries, and, flying cars are pretty cool. I always wanted those, and I can tell you they're not going to happen otherwise. So the Oasis has to be free. And if somebody builds it first, that's not going to happen. We don't build pyramids anymore, right? We just don't build pyramids. And anybody that's into pyramids, like they want to see it, they can go to Egypt and check out the pyramids, because they're there. We don't even build a pyramid in another continent, not with that level of detail and architecture, right? The reason we don't do it is because it's a monumental task. If you want to see the pyramids, go to Egypt. It's already been done. Nobody's going to want to do another one. It'll be the same way with the Oasis. It's a monumental task. And once it's built and somebody owns it, and then they can just charge you a monthly fee or whatever, just so you can be in it, there's no way to change that. But right now we have an opportunity to build it from the ground up. This is a historical moment that we have. And if we build it together, it can be free. And in this world, we can have people with businesses and jobs, and there will be virtual currencies, and it's going to be incredible. People can still build businesses. So you walk into a dance club, and you can have a really good time with your friends and your favorite DJ. And you're going to pay for that experience, right? Because there are people that are working to create that experience, and they're not going to work for free. But through micropayments, it'll be something that's not going to be painful, and you don't even have to think about money, actually. You don't even have to think about it. But when you walk out on the street and you're just exploring and you're going to a park, you're going to just check out what's there, you shouldn't have to pay for that. You shouldn't have to pay for the air that you breathe. You shouldn't have to pay just to get access. So I think what I'm talking is pretty far out, but it's possible. I'm confident it's going to happen. There are many of us working on this already right now. Most of the focus has been on software, but we have an open field for content. We have actually a huge need for content. And I think that for me personally, being that Seattle is my home, and I love the culture here, I just didn't have this in Brazil, you know? We have an incredible opportunity in front of us. Content is going to be great, and there are going to be new industries that are going to replace other industries. And you know, I talk to a lot of people. I know that many people can see this. I don't know if everybody can see this, but it's what's going to happen. So I hope that I've covered a lot of ground here with what Chronos is doing and the bigger vision that we have. We're working on apps. We're working on, you know, we're experimenting with the technology. We're learning. We're growing our team. But ultimately, we want to be a major contributor in making the Oasis a free virtual world and bringing the community together, all of the companies that are here, all of the companies that will be built, so that we can work together and cooperate with each other to make this a much richer experience.